Watch out! Here comes
Taste of
Scooby-Doo!
pure milk chocolate.
Hi. Listen. With one person, you see me thinking of the lyrics. One very special person, a feeling deep in your soul. It says that you are half, now you're whole. No more hunger and thirst. But first you're gonna wanna be a person who needs people. I sing that because it's actually on this day in 1968, Funny Girl struck theaters, making Barbra Streisand a goddamn phenomenon. A hit, an absolute hit. So I'm looking at the reflection of this pumpkin. It's a little bit more bright than the previous one that I had up, and I did, in fact, get this pumpkin and acquired it at a thrift store. It's a Trendmasters situation. Trendmasters, a brand that was quite prominent. I say was with so much confidence, not knowing if the brand is still around, which I think it probably is, because if you look on eBay, Halloween decorations, 90s, okay, early 2000s, 90s, you're going to see a lot of Trendmasters things. Before we talk about the movie, I wanted to show some physical releases that I have gotten from Vinegar Syndrome. Two things. One, Guest House Paradiso. Never seen this movie before. I love this cover so much. It's one of their Universal titles, and it's also from straight up from Vinegar Syndrome, not a partner title. It's from, I want to say, 1999. It's like a British horror comedy. It has a lot of people. It has you got Vincent Cassel, you've got Bill Nighy, you've got Simon Pegg, and that's who I'm recognizing here. Okay, so I'm very excited to watch this one. And then secondly, I got the Cardona Collection Volume 2. I haven't watched any of the movies from the first one yet. I haven't even, I don't think I've even no, I've opened it, but I haven't watched any yet. But I felt like since I got the first one, I had to get the second one. The first one had Treasure of the Amazon, Triangle, The Bermuda Mystery, and Cyclone. Donald Pleasance is involved in one of these. And they're these really cool, like, hard boxes with magnets on them. And with regular, oh, I see Donald Pleasance right there, actually, I think. But just really cool covers here. And Volume 2 actually has 4 movies on it. Beaks, the movie, heard of that one. Under Siege, La Casa que Arde de Noche, SOS Conspiracy Bikini. Okay, and similar situation here, just a whole bunch going on in the cover. Really cool covers. The Beaks one I'm really excited about. It's like, I mean, a bird's knockoff type thing. One can assume. Yeah, see, these actually, like, they magnetize. So recently I watched a movie I came across on Letterboxd, as one does. Letterboxd is, I mean, out of everything, I would say Letterboxd is where I do the most discovery. Isn't that the tagline? Discovery isn't the tagline of Letterboxd, and that's exactly what Letterboxd is so great for. I'm talking rabbit hole of list. I want something similar to this list. Hey, maybe someone out there has built a list. Movies like such a specific genre. Movies where blank, blank, blank. You look up so many things on there. I try to actually build some lists like that sometimes. Actually, mine are more like things no one would ever write, like ambulance blanket. You know, when like a character at the end of the movie survives something and then they're wearing like that blanket that the paramedics give them. I've compiled a list. If you can throw any more my way, go ahead and check the Letterboxd and see what you can add. Go ahead and comment below. And it's not a huge list, but like I built it as I go. Every time now that I see one, because you know that thing where you think, oh my God, I should have been thinking of this thing and building a list because it's such a cliche, and it's like, I want a comprehensive list, and that's one of those. I have a couple of those. Oh, I have one that's called Repeated Sound or something like that, where, you know how like in Bridesmaids, Melissa McCarthy, when she was throwing up, she was like, boop, boop. But it was the exact same sound. And then in Titanic, when Rose was falling off the end, and she was like, stuff like that no one would ever come across, though. So that's not quite the same. Anyways, I came across this movie, Deranged, from 1974. I click it, intrigued by the poster. I see Trusted People Mutuals, a review highly reviewed. And to read, I heard comparisons to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought, 1974, that's when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out. Let's watch this. I immediately watched. It was on Tubi. It's also on YouTube, I think. It's very much so available. Also, in the research I found, it was one of those, those MGM DVDs, Midnight Double DVDs, which I used to be kind of like, get that away from me. But at this point, I like that. I'm like, I want to collect them all. I like the look of it a lot. That, like, it's like when the sun goes down and the lights turn on, we go in for a Midnight Double. A loose kind of retelling. Actually, it's not posed as loose, but based on Ed Gein. Okay, which we've got a lot of those movies based on Ed Gein or inspired by, like Psycho, definitely one of those. I believe like Texas Chainsaw Massacre also. Actually, probably not. Actually, yes. Just in like digging up body type thing, using like flash to like construct things, build things, kind of. Lampshade. Loosely based on the crimes of Ed Gein, it follows Ezra Cobb, a middle-aged man in a rural Midwestern community who begins a string of serial murders and grave robberies after the death of his mother. And if you look on the Wikipedia for this, it says that after the movie premiered in Los Angeles in 1974, it was lost. It was a lost movie. The elements were thrown to the wind or hidden somewhere. But in the 90s, it was discovered in Florida. And you think, huh? I guess someone probably who worked on the movie, perhaps director, who knows? Someone close to the production, they probably moved to Florida and it was in their basement. To think that, I immediately think Zodiac, Scary Man basement. It was like, like original camera negatives down there in a box or something. They were saved, and then American International Pictures put it out. A subsidiary of MGM. I really liked it. I liked it quite a lot. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite horror movies, as it is so many of us. It's just, for me, the thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's this very specific, it is the setting, it is the lived-in nature of it. It is the smells that can be smelled through the screen, and just like these gross, nasty, like shriveled, scary corpse vibe, and just like hot, musty, dusty, old house meat hanging in the barbecuer, in the rotisserie oven, rotation sausage, cows gasping for air, talk of a slaughterhouse somewhere in the town, the old slaughterhouse that Grandpa used to work at. You envision something, it just gives you this image, and it's frightening. That kind of thing, always like just what I love so much about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And in looking it up, this came out 6 months before Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the thing is, I want to say, first of all, not saying that anyone got any ideas from the other one. I think it was just one of those they synced, they came out around the same time. I don't think that they were like, one was trying to beat the other to come out. You know what I mean? I think they were both original ideas in their own. I mean, based on Ed Gein, but like their own little take on the thing. Also, this one was directed by Alan Ormsby, who wrote Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, another like low-budget horror movie that's really atmospheric and just like fun. Zombie movie on this island. He wrote Popcorn. He wrote Death Dream. But watching this, it's hard not to compare. I mean, it starts out in like this, everything you're about to see is a true story. The names and locations have been changed. You know what I mean? And also, this interesting thing about this movie, it's instead of just kind of jumping in and just kind of watching this story unfold upon it in itself, we have this reporter, columnist guy. He's like, hello, I am going to tell you the story of Ezra Cobb, and he kind of takes us through the story. He'll pop in every now and then, like how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre starts out in a way where it's almost like this really happened to these people. Now this is the story here, that kind of thing. You have like someone talking, like some news guy or something, and a lot more comparisons will pop up here. But anyways, this guy's kind of, he sets up the story here. This man, Ezra Cobb, he loves his mother. In fact, he's been living with her for a long time. I think he said 12 years or something, so maybe he wasn't for a while, but he came back or something. But they're very close. She's very much so sheltered him and held him close. She had a stroke recently. He moved her from upstairs, sealed it, and brought her down to the downstairs bedroom where he remains at her side, getting her whatever the hell she needs. and just talking to her, being with her, supporting her through the pain, and the pain she is feeling. Really gross, this moment at the beginning, pea soup feeding, but then like blood starts coming out of her mouth and she's clearly in a lot of pain. I don't like that. But just in this little conversation, we see that, oh yeah, she's definitely manipulated him growing up in a very selfish way to keep him close and turn him against the world, the women mainly. She swiftly passes, and oh, he does not take it well. Beautiful little like graveyard scene. See, already this movie kind of sets up this small town, rural atmosphere that I love so much. Unable to cope, old, dusty, lived-in house Pan. He is making a mess of the place. He is unable to concentrate on anything but Mother. Mother who is inside of his head now. Not really, but she's there. He's created a mother voice in head, Norman Bates style, you know what I mean? And she beckons to him, come get me, dig me, take me home, baby, take me home. And he does. He thinks, oh yeah, I'm coming. He takes the truck, he goes to the graveyard, he digs her up, and he envisions her being just the same as he left her, preserved and happy to go home, but absolutely not. This image right here, this angle, there's something so scary about it. The quietness of it and just the angle. This whole segment of the movie is absolutely my favorite. A happy drive home, he gets pulled over, but he's like, he's respected in the community. He's just like a normal, nice guy. He's quiet, he's shy. He was good to his mom. He took care of her. Everyone kind of knew the mom was like mean. She, you know, was very protective of her son. But like, you know, Ezra has friends. He has this one main friend guy who has a family that he hangs out with sometimes. Anyways, the cop just smells something but assumes it's Ezra and then sends him home. Every time something creepy's going on and there's this organ music playing in the background that I love. It just works so well. And this whole thing carrying her and the shriveled, scary... It's very like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is what I mean. Just like that image there and the house and everything. It's been like a year since she passed and she's not looking good. And he's having these like imaginary convos with her. And the thing is, he needs to keep up her appearance. So that's where the spree begins. Reading the obituary, digging up recently deceased people in the town. The old woman who used to teach at the school, firstly. And this is really sick, this whole thing. Actually, first of all, this is Tom Savini's first makeup effects credit. And like, you know, really gross, like realistic looking stuff here. This scene in particular, quite gross, shocking, and just like, it stays on it for quite a while. He's taking faces off and putting them on Mother. At that point, I was thinking, okay, well, you want it to look like Mother? Sculpt it via wax. But actually, I believe he tried that first of all, and it just wasn't doing. He needed an authentic face to fit on. So we basically just follow Ezra going back and forth, going home to the house, which is getting more and more scary inside, a house of horrors. And then in the day, he's just like hanging out, doing stuff with the friend, and, you know, just like being a normal guy. Quiet always. His friends are like, you should get a companion, talk to the ladies of the town. And he's like, I can't. I don't trust them. But then he's like, you know what? Okay, I can trust whatever this lady's name is who's recently widowed. So he goes over there. This part's really weird. There's some weird moments. Like this lady puts on a wig and has this whole seance thing talking to her late husband. And she poses it like the late husband, Herbert, or whatever his name is, wants. She's like, you must, Ezra, you must show my wife a good time. She needs it. She misses it. She needs the touch. And it's clearly just her saying this, like taking advantage of the situation. Or like, maybe not. Okay, maybe it's really Herbert saying that, but I don't think so. Anyways, he kills. It was his first kill. He couldn't take it. He was going to bed with the woman, but he heard Mom. Mom got into his head and said, don't trust, don't. And then he ended her with via pillow therapy, gunshot wound. And you see, that was a turning point for Ezra because he had never done that. You see, he was digging up bodies, but at this point, that was a live person he just took the life force from. But that unlocks something for him, and now he yearns for a woman just like live. He wants a live victim, and so he stalks people. A woman, a waitress at a restaurant. He plans this whole little scheme of popping her tires, waiting till she's off work, and coming in for the rescue. You want me to drive you somewhere? And he does. He drives her straight home. She's like, I think that was the turnoff for Camp Crystal Lake back there. This whole scene I love. It's very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Woman enters house, walks around. What's going on here? Ew. Stinky. Gross. Ew. Bones. Things. And then, boom, light on. And this scene, I love the reaction from her, actually, because it's a frozen, shocked, why would I ever have expected, what even is this that I'm looking at right now, not able to move. I think that's a really nice touch, instead of like immediately running, which she ends up. And one of the people, okay, the Ezra is now like in full form. He's wearing a face, he has a wig on. Actually very like Bill Moseley character from House of a Thousand Corpses at that point. He gives chase, and he's scary, and he's crazed, and there are bodies, these like propped up bodies that he's collected that are there. And you take this image and you can place it in with Texas Chainsaw Massacre mood board, and it would fit right in. He gives chase, she almost gets away, she's tied down, and then we got a dinner scene, a dinner table scene with the bodies propped up and her tied down, and just like he's fully at this point just like gone. It's almost beyond, it was like, okay, so it started as, you know, it was all for mom and just to like keep her there, but now it's like he just needs these companions. Also, you think, okay, final girl moment, you hope, but it doesn't happen that way. She gets hit with a giant bone and it doesn't work out for her. Ezra gets very sloppy and carried away, and he's hanging out with his friend. He's actually like out in the open. He's like, oh, that lady's at my house right now. And the friend's like, oh, and Ezra's like, I'm serious. And he's like, oh, you know what I mean? But the friend's son's girlfriend, he catches her eye and thinks, I want her. I'm taking her back home. The very frightening moment of him in like the town shop where she works, like pointing this gun right at her at like close range in the target. That's scary. It happens once, it's very tense, but there's people around, but he comes back and he does it again, but he actually shoots. But somehow she survives it. I guess grazed her, hit her glasses or something. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre moment number 3-4, she is in the back of a truck and he's driving. She wakes up. She is back there. They lock eyes. He thinks, and she runs. Again, you think she's going to make it, but she doesn't. He gets her and he hangs her upside down. This is like the most graphic moment of the movie. He cuts in and he's completely lost it at this point. The friend comes running up, sees her, runs in the house. Oh, the house is now a complete cave, and he's sitting at the dinner table drinking blood from a bowl, soup style. And yeah, we'll leave you with that kind of thing. Just one of my favorite discoveries of the year so far. I'm glad I clicked play on it. One of those, you know what I mean? You don't really think, you just think, okay, this sounds great, I'm gonna watch it, and then you love it. One of those kind of things. I will say, like, with this whole video comparing it to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I mean, of course it's hard not to, but also, like, you see a couple things that make the Texas Chainsaw Massacre rise above the rest. One, the technical side of it, just like the cinematography, the innovation there, and just like how smooth and cool some of those shots are. They're like, how? That's something that's really a huge draw for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and something that I love so much about it also. And I would also definitely say Deranged doesn't have that like true grittiness to it, where like with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre it feels very much so on location in this real place kind of thing, but still a very entertaining, unsettling watch. Also darkly funny in moments, I would say, like in weird character moments like the seance lady, but also just in the Ezra character, just like him being open with what he's doing and everyone taking it as a joke. And also, I think the Ezra character, I think he does a really good job. The actor, this is another really cool trivia thing. Robert Blossom is the actor, and he was the scary old man turned nice old man in Home Alone. So I think that's kind of just a funny thing to think that that's the same guy. What I would also say about Deranged is that that columnist reporter guy coming in and talking to us, kind of running down some of the details, I don't fully feel like it needed to have that. parts. It's just if you were to cut out those parts, we would have kind of been able to fill in the blanks ourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's really close with his mom. Clearly, she recently got sick, kind of thing. I don't know, you know, but I actually do like that aspect of it. I think it makes it a little bit, adds a little strange element to it. Anyways, you can watch this on Tubi. At least it's on there right now as I speak. But it's something that I believe you can like rent wherever you rent your movies. And as I said, it's on YouTube also. But yeah, if I'm like in the wild and I see that double feature, I'm definitely gonna get that. I think it might have a Blu-ray too. I do know there's obviously like an HD digital. There's an HD transfer of it out there that can be rented and watched. Thank you guys for watching. I actually did start my Hooptober list. The Hooptober opened on the 15th, so I'm not watching a movie every single day, but of course, you know, just as long as I finish by October 31st. The first movie I watched was My Animal, and yeah, I thought it was really interesting, visually really cool. I mean, with the lighting and just the way it was shot. It was interesting, more just like this character study piece, kind of a allegory for a trans coming of age story through like this through a werewolf transformation piece. The two leads are really great. Bobby Menwez, to have her leading a movie, I think is really cool. I see her pop up in things. She was definitely in Under the Silver Lake. She was in White Girl. Just things here and there. Euphoria, definitely. I also really like Amanda Stenberg, and just like their chemistry was really interesting to watch. I definitely would recommend it. It just dropped on VOD. I kind of timed it to where it lined up with that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.